Well, we all have objections that get to us in the business of health. Let's be completely honest about it. Maybe people want to whinge about price, or it's too much effort, or it's too hard, or they want to complain about something, or it doesn't matter. Fact is, there's one very simple phrase that you can always utilize, and this becomes the easiest way to instantly diffuse an objection, re-engage, and get back on track. We're going to go through it right after this. Okay, so you're probably sitting there and thinking, Jason, there is no way that there can be one phrase that's going to completely diffuse an objection each and every time. Well, let me tell you this, absolutely there is. Now, I've been working for nearly a decade with the #1 authority on trust-based selling in the world, Mr. Ari Galper himself. I know him very well. I've just had him recently at one of our conferences with not one of our clients, but all of our clients. It's the first time in the health industry in Australia that he's presented live doing this. And we've been able to take him through some extensive training, and it's been absolutely amazing to watch some of the trust-based selling avenues coming into play. And I'm going to share with you now one of the best ways you can actually always diffuse an objection. Because let's be completely honest about it, we're not wanting to actually defend ourselves against objections. Because if you think about it right now, if someone has an objection about price, or wants to have a whinge about something that's not right, or they want to be able to say that I'm not sure whether you're the right person for me to be working with, or I don't even know whether you can actually do what needs to be done, and all of those negatives, the objections to not just going through it with the sale, not just going through and enabling you to impart your skill set with them. All of those times that happens, before someone actually gets taught about how to use trust-based selling and the right words and phrases to actually cease that objection, all you're actually doing is you're actually just pushing back. Think about it, like someone wants to push you, they push, and you push back. And so force is met with force. And as that happens, the force escalates, and a lot of the time, most of us don't actually do a very good job of handling those objections. And we get defensive, we talk too fast, we start using stats, and we start backing ourselves up. We're trying to justify what we're doing, and my team member, no, so what we're trying to do, and blah, blah, blah. And we start to go below the line, we start to blame them. Surely it's not our problem or my fault. I'm sure that that was, I was trying to, and we just lose complete control, and all we do is dig ourselves deeper, and we rebut back. We might get passive aggressive. All these different things happen. We don't win. They don't win. In fact, it's not even about winning or losing. It's about the fact that all of a sudden you've completely lost. All right, you can't win. You're just going to lose. You're going to lose a client. You're going to get people disgruntled and frustrated. And you can think about it right now. And I guarantee there's at least one situation in recent times where you know that we should have handled something different. We should have handled it a little bit better. Maybe we shouldn't have said it this way. Maybe I could have gone and etc. That's all great, and they're mistakes, and they're learnings that we get from those to impart and improve upon for future times when that occurs. Here's the thing. We're not trying to actually defend an objection. You're not trying to defend, because when you defend, you put barriers up, or you physically push back, or mentally like we went through before. What we're trying to always do is diffuse the objection. We're trying to work with it. We're trying to go with the flow. There's the martial arts of Aikido. And if you go and look at Aikido, then you'll actually start to understand how you move with them. So you move with them, you don't force, it's not like karate where you force and you meet force with force and sort of push back and they push back, or they punch, or this, etc. What we're actually trying to do is diffuse. We're trying to actually work with them to make sure that one, we're protected, but two, they're also protected. And so when we stop and think about diffusing the objection, not actually defending the objection, it needs to completely change our mindset of how we go about this process. So now that we understand that we have to diffuse an objection and not actually go ahead and defend an objection, we start to move more towards the actual trust language, the emotive, open and honest language. The part where we actually have to stop and drop our tone. We need to actually talk slowly. You'll notice that myself right now, I've actually slowed down. We've actually lowered my tone. I'm being open and honest and clear. You need to make sure that we're actually emotive and they can feel the response. So it's not just you saying, oh, let me first apologize, but what you'll have found is blah, blah. No, don't defend. You stop, first of all, and have to make people feel like you understand them, that you've actually heard them. That's the first step that you need to be able to do. And here's the killer phrase that I'm going to give to you right now that's going to do that each and every time. If someone rings up and wants to have a whinge to you about something, the objection comes forward, we want to always start with the phrase, that's not a problem. Now we know from gosh knows how many studies and surveys have been done, and someone like Ari has been teaching this for decades. We know this is the best wording to actually diffuse an objection straight away with anyone. We want to make sure that we say it slowly. We drop the tone. We're not rushing. We're not pushing back and defending. We're not trying to justify what was said or not said or the person did this and that. No, no, no. We're just literally stopping and we're saying, I hear you and I understand. So the phrase again is, that's not a problem. As soon as you do that, it conceptually changes what people are feeling at the time, because people are feeling like they're going to have a conflict. You know it as well as I do. If you're ringing up someone to criticize, maybe you're ringing Telstra or someone like that, and you're trying to whinge or complain, or you have a slight objection, we don't feel good about making the call. We feel a bit anxious. Why? Because we know that there's going to be pushback. We know that we're going to get cranky. We know that it's frustrating. We just want to move on. We want to have the solution and move on. I don't even want to deal with this right now, is the mentality that we have. And so we're expecting conflict. We're expecting people to defend and resist back. And naturally, when we put that out there, the vast majority of time, we actually get that back, which means when the shoe's on the other foot, we're not actually getting near as much power or control, and we're certainly not going to get any benefit from taking that approach and defending that objection. And we're not going to get anywhere when we start overly aggressive either when the shoe's on the other foot. So here's the thing. If someone is to ring up and talk to you about booking an appointment, for instance, and they're talking about whether you're the right people to be able to work with them, maybe it's a scenario that they're actually turning around and saying, look, you know, I did the following and had an assessment done the other day and this is what's happened and blah, blah, blah. And you just want to be able to stop and say, okay, so you want to cancel this appointment? That's not a problem. Now, I'm not going to go into the podcast this time around about then the next words and how we need to do it, but first and foremost, we need to diffuse that objection. All right? We need to actually get them to understand and stop, and we need to take all the heat and the momentum out of what their objection is actually starting to do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to be able to actually reframe and re-engage that conversation. And there's numerous ways to be able to do that. But first and foremost, to diffuse any objection that you get in your business, start with the phrase, that's not a problem. All right? We're empowering the person. We're telling them that we're listening and we hear them, we understand. Now, you've got every right if they're going to be problematic or they want to be difficult or they want to extend the truth or have a whinge about something that's completely irrelevant. You've totally got the avenue to be able to open up the dialogue and the communication to be able to express that, to show the benefit, to explain the value, whatever it happens to be. You've got every right to, and a lot of the time you will be able to do that. But first of all, you have to be able to stop and not defend the objection, but you have to diffuse the objection. And you diffuse it by saying, that's not a problem. And then you can start moving into better trust-based language with them ready to engage based on addressing whether you might be a good fit. Maybe you need to go through, it might make sense for us to be able to, book a time to talk about this. It might make sense for us to, etc., etc. Loads of different ways of doing it, but you're never going to get to open conversation, open communication, and be able to step forward in the right way to re-engage and make a good positive scenario from that objection if you start with being defensive and defending that objection. So here's the thing, one more time, that's not a problem. Start every objection you get in that way, whether it's on the phone or face-to-face. It's the right NLP. It controls the conversation. It takes the heat and the angst and frustration out of it. It doesn't defend the objection. It diffuses it, enables you to reframe, pivot, re-engage a conversation and get some really amazing momentum and proactive traction as a net result of using those words. So go ahead, try it, engage with it straight away, use it all the time, and that is always the best way for you to be able to diffuse an objection and make a positive out of a potentially very negative situation. I'll talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.